Hey everyone, so my name is Monica. For those of you who don't know me or it's your first class here, thanks for being here. We'll start in a seated position for today's class. So find a comfortable seat, grab any props you need to make this comfortable. So you want to be as comfortable as possible in this seated position. This goes for when you're meditating or sitting to meditate. You want the posture to be really comfortable where you can hold the spine straight without feeling any strain in the lower back or in the hips. So if you feel strain in the lower back or the hips, then grab a blanket or a bolster and elevate the hips a little bit, and that'll give some more space for the pelvis to find a neutral position. And then from that neutral pelvis, you can find a straight, comfortable spine. And if you need to sit in a chair, go ahead and sit in a chair. So find a comfortable seat. You can bring the hands into the lap or onto the knees and gently close the eyes. We'll just take a few moments here before we start moving the body to settle into the body and turn the attention inwards. So withdrawing all of the senses into the body. Dropping down into the center. Maybe you need to take a couple deep breaths to allow the attention to settle inwards. Acknowledging this moment, the beginning of the practice, and the shift from whatever you were doing before, shifting into the space of practice, the space of observing the mind, observing the inner body, and just noticing anything that comes to your attention right away from that initial shift. Anything that's present for you in this moment. So maybe it's a physical sensation or a mental sensation or an emotional sensation. Or maybe it's a thought pattern in the mind. Just noticing whatever's present for you in this moment. Just sitting with it without trying to change it, without judging it as good or bad. And then dropping the attention down into the pelvis. So first starting at the sit bones, those two bony bones at the bottom of the pelvis, feel their contact into the mat. Feel that point where the pelvis is touching the ground. Feel the heaviness moving down through those points of contact. Relaxing whatever needs to be relaxed in order to fully release and allow the weight to move downward. Feeling into that downward moving energy. You want to be right on top of the sit bones, so you don't want the sit bones to be shifting back or forward, allowing the pelvis to be neutral. And then moving the mind's eye into the space inside the pelvis. And see if you can sense the spaciousness there, the emptiness. And this is a really subtle, deep space that we're bringing our attention to. So if you can't quite feel anything there, maybe just imagining the emptiness in the pelvis, the spaciousness there. On your next inhale, imagine the breath moving all the way down into this space, into this emptiness. And then as you exhale, watching the breath as it moves out from this emptiness, back up through the spine and out through the nose. So inhale, following the breath through the nose, down the spine into the emptiness of the pelvis. And then exhale as it travels back out the opposite way, up through the spine, through the throat and through the nose. Just imagining the breath moving through this pathway, through the nostrils on the inhale, through the throat, down the spine, into the pelvis. And then exhale, back up through the spine, through the throat, and through the nostrils. Keep following the breath. You can even allow the lower belly to be soft and expand as you inhale, as it moves into the pelvis, into the emptiness. And then allow the lower belly to naturally move back down, back towards the spine on the exhale. If the mind wanders at any moment, just noticing that it's wandered. Notice mind is thinking, mind has gone off to past or present, and gently bring it back to the breath, back to the pathway of the breath in relationship to the emptiness of the pelvis. We'll just take a few more breaths here. Maybe starting to lengthen the breath a bit more, slow it down as you continue following the pathway of the breath. Take one more breath here. Long, deep, steady breath into the emptiness. And then we'll bring the palms to heart center. You can keep the eyes closed if you'd like to. And we'll start with the opening mantra for Ashtanga Yoga. You can join me or you can just listen. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Vande Gurunam Charanaravinda Sandarshita Swatma Sukhavabodhe Nishreyase Jangali Khayamane Samsara Hala Hala Mohashantiye Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakrasidharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shwetam Pranamami Patanjalim. Exhale the hands back down, and we'll make our way to standing into Samasthiti. Good. So come to the top of the mat, big toes touching with the heels slightly apart, and that's going to give the SI joint, the sacrum, the space around the sacrum, a little bit more space as you separate the heels. And bring the arms down to your side. We'll start with Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, bring the arms over your head, rolling the shoulders forward for external rotation, palms touch. Exhale, take this forward, fold really slow, reaching the hips back as the chest reaches forward, and stop halfway. Good, so your torso is parallel to the ground. Maybe you're here and you need to bend the knees a little bit because of tight hamstrings. And you're going to reach back through the sit bones, reach forward through the fingertips and through the crown of the head, as much space as possible in between the rib cage and the hips. This is kind of hard. Feel the back muscles engaging. And now exhale as you finish forward folding. Feel the back muscles relax as you bring the hands to the floor. Fold over the legs, maybe bending the knees here if you need to. Inhale into half lift. So again, come into that engaged back muscle position. Lift the chest and lengthen again. Reach the sit bones back and down and the center of the chest and the crown of the head forward. Pull the lower belly in. Really feel into this posture. Exhale as you step back into a plank. Okay, back, one foot, other foot, or both feet at the same time. Shoulders over the wrists. Lower the knees if you need to modify this one, and then bend the elbows. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, point the toes into upward facing dog. Lift the chest as much as it feels okay on the lower back. And then exhale into downward facing dog. You can move through tabletop, tuck the toes into downward facing dog, or roll through the toes. Whatever transition works for you there. And we'll settle here for 5 breaths. 1, if you need to bend the knees here, bend the knees, and then think about reaching the chest towards the thighs as you press into the hands, and the hips are reaching up and back. So you want to create as much space as possible between the hands and the hips. Press down through the hands and reach up and back with the hips. It's like you're pushing yourself out of the shoulders. Take 1 more breath here, steady breathing. And fully exhaling. On your next inhale, you're going to walk up to the top into the half lift. Lift the chest, engage the back as you lengthen and find space. And then exhale from that space, fold forward as you relax the back all the way down through the neck. Inhale, come back up to stand, press down through the feet, reach up with the arms, press palms, exhale into Samastitihi. Good. Again, inhale, moving with the breath, arms over your head, palms touch. Exhale, fold forward with a long spine, hips back, reach through the fingertips, and then when you reach the limit of the hamstring flexibility, then you relax the back, pull the lower belly in, relax the neck. Inhale into half lift, press down through the feet. Exhale, step back into a plank, strong arms, strong shoulders, and then bend the elbows, keep moving the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, upward facing dog. Press through the tops of the feet, press through the hands to lift the chest. Exhale into downward facing dog. Remember, you can modify whatever you need to at any moment. 1, settle into the breath. 2, gazing up towards the thighs, strong legs. 3, 4, matching the length of the inhales to the length of the exhales. 5, fully exhaling, and then inhale as you come up to the top into half lift. Press through the base of the big toes, lift through the kneecaps. Exhale, fold over the legs, keep drawing in the lower belly. Inhale, come to stand, press down through the feet, tuck the tailbone under, and gaze up. Exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, arms over your head. Exhale, fold forward, long spine. Really milk this forward folding. Create space and then fold into the space as you draw the lower belly in. Tune into the emptiness of the pelvis. Inhale into half lift. Exhale, step or jump back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Press the shoulders down, spread through the collarbones. Exhale into downward facing dog. Good. 1. Remember the emptiness in the pelvis. This is a really good position to tune into that. And allow Uddiyana Bandha to happen naturally, that pulling into the lower belly, because there's sort of a natural hollowing that happens here. So allow that hollowing through the pelvis, through the lower belly to happen. Feel the emptiness in the pelvis. Allow that space to happen. Take 1 more breath here. On your next inhale, step or jump into half lift, lengthening, full deep breath in. Exhale, fold forward, pull the lower belly in, and relax the back. Inhale, come to stand, pressing down, reaching up. Exhale, Samastitihi. And Surya Namaskar B. We're going to start with utkatasana. We're going to take our time. Inhale, bend the knees. Now when you bend the knees, I want you to bring the chest forward so you're folding into the hip creases. So your chest isn't forward, so you want to bend in the front of the hips. Close the front of the hips. You don't want to keep them open. So really shift the chest forward a little bit, sink the hips down, and feel the heaviness happening through the tailbone. And now bring the arms over your head, the weight's in the heels mostly. Lift through the center of the chest as you keep dropping down through the tailbone. Okay, exhale, straighten the legs as you fold forward. Hands to the mat, relax over the legs. Inhale into half lift. Exhale, step or jump back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog, deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot forward, in between the hands or as close as you can get it. Lift the chest, palms touch, gazing up. Find your breath. Exhale as you come back down. Step back into a plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. Stay with the breath. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Other foot forward, left foot forward, lower the back heel. Inhale as you lift the chest, feel into the legs, strong legs. Exhale, come back down. Take an extra breath here if you need to. Bend the elbows, pull the lower belly in. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog or child's pose. And if you lost the breath, reconnect with it here. 1, steady breathing, smoothing out the edges of the breath. 2, feel into the strength of the legs, lifting to the kneecaps. 3, 4, 5. Inhale, step or jump into half lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come into utkatasana. Bend the knees, sink the hips, feel the quads, and lift the chest, but you're bending into the front of the hips. Reach back through the sit bones, through the pelvis, and lift through the center of the chest. Exhale, Samasthiti. Good. It's so easy to come up in utkatasana there and have just a slight bend in the knees. Okay, one more. Inhale, utkatasana. Bend the knees, bend into the front of the hips, lift the chest, pull the lower belly in, heavy tailbone, and then reaching through the opposite direction through the center of the chest. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step or jump back. Pull the lower belly in as you bend the elbows. Inhale, upward facing dog. If this is too fast, go at your own pace. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot forward. Inhale, keep bending into the right knee, gazing up. Exhale, come back down. Stay with the breath. Exhale at the bottom. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot forward. Inhale, deep breath in. Keep bending into the left knee. Exhale, come back down. Keep the lower belly pulled in. Inhale, upward facing dog. Press down through the shoulders. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Settle into the breath. 1, tune into the emptiness of the pelvis. 3, 4, keeping the lower belly pulled in, breathing into the rib cage. 5. Inhale, step or jump into half lift. Exhale, fold forward, lengthening to the backs of the legs. Inhale, utkatasana. Bend the knees, sink into the heels, squeeze the knees together, lift the chest, but don't open the front of the hips. And then exhale, press into the ground, Samasthiti. Padangusasana, bring the feet hip width distance apart. Inhale, fold forward, catch the big toes with the peace fingers, wrap them around the big toes. Inhale, look up and lengthen. So first let's take a moment here in this prepare. You're pressing into the base of the big toes, reaching through the center of the chest, and the back muscles are engaged as you keep pressing through the feet. The tailbone is a little bit heavy. Feel into the emptiness of the pelvis, hollowing out through the front of the hips, all through right below the lower belly. Feel hollowing happening there. Exhale. Now you're going to fold forward into that emptiness. Feel the backs of the legs starting to lengthen as you relax the back muscles, especially the lower back muscles. Feel all of these lower back muscles relaxing. If you need to bend the knees to help relax those muscles, bend the knees a little bit, even if it's a micro bend. And then feel all of the muscles along the spine releasing. Now we have gravity kind of helping us here. Relaxing the neck. Good. Now tune into your foundation. The feet lifting through the arches of the feet, lifting through the kneecaps, and now lifting through the sit bones. The hamstrings, which are being stretched here, are attached at the sit bones. So feel the sit bones moving up towards the ceiling to find a little bit more length into the hamstrings. If you feel pain in the sit bones, then maybe you're going too far. No, you're definitely going too far. Okay, inhale, lift the chest again. Now engage the back muscles, keep the lower belly pulled in. Now we're going to slide the hands underneath the feet for Padahastasana. Take another deep breath in, find the length, find the space, and then exhale, folding into the space. So you want the pelvis to be the pivot point here. And when you find the limit to the hamstring flexibility and you can't pivot anymore at the hips and at the pelvis, then that's when you relax the back and the neck. Good. Now find the breath. Tune into the foundation. If the legs are straight, maybe try shifting the weight forward a little bit to bring a little bit more length to the backs of the legs. Check in with the back muscles, releasing them as much as possible. Take one more breath here. Inhale, lift the chest. Pull the lower belly in, hold it on the exhale. And then inhale, come all the way up to the top, press into the feet, into Samastitihi. Good. Utthita Trikonasana, inhale, step the right foot back, pivot the right toes towards the back of the mat, left toes in at 45 degrees. Inhale. Exhale, reach with the right arm, pivoting into the right hip crease as you externally rotate the right hip, the right leg into the right hip, and then move into Trikonasana. Right hand to the shin, gazing up towards the left fingers. You can catch the big toes if that's accessible, or you can bring the hand onto a block. Good. Wherever you are, you're pressing the feet into the mats and away from each other. Strong legs, lifting the kneecaps, and then lengthening the spine out from the pelvis. Pull the lower belly in. So you want to feel that nice stretch along the left side of the torso. And then roll the shoulders away from the ears. One more breath. Keep reaching across through both hands, opening and spreading across the collarbones. Inhale, press down to come up. Good. Pivot the feet, right toes in, left toes out. Inhale as you reach across the left hand. Exhale, move into the posture. And you want to press evenly down through both feet to center the posture for you. If your hand is on the shin, don't dump too much weight onto the hand, onto the shin. Keep reaching up through that right hand. This is hard, it's super active. But you can relax in some places. You can relax in the face. You can relax in the torso a little bit. Keep the foundation and the strength through the legs so that you can relax through the torso a little bit. Gazing up towards the right fingers. Just take one more breath. Smooth, steady breathing. On your next inhale, pressing down to come up. Good. Pivot around. Let's go straight into Parsvakonasana B. So we're going to skip around a little bit. Come down to your left knee. We're going to do a twisting posture. Inhale, lift up through the left arm, creating space through the front of the left side. And then exhale, come across to the right leg. So either the left elbow comes across to the outside of the right thigh, and then you bring the hands in prayer. Or if the palms can manage to get towards the center of the chest here, then you can slide that hand down to the outside of the right foot. Find your version, and the arm can come over the head. And then maybe you're lifting that back knee. Keep bending into the right knee and keep reaching back through that left heel. The left heel could also be down. Dropping that right hip down towards the mat, Opening that space between the rib cage and the hips. Steady breathing. Make sure there's no tension in the neck. You're rolling that right shoulder. If it's over your head, roll the right shoulder away from the ear. Good. On the next inhale, slowly coming out. Pivot around to the other side. Good. Come down to the right knee. Inhale. Take your time moving into it. Again, find the space. And then move into the space. As you come into the twist, tuck the tailbone around the spine. Either the elbow touches the outside or the shoulder touches the outside. 1. Keep bending into the left knee. Reach that left knee forward. 2. Drop the left hip down. Find space between the hips and the rib cage. And you're spiraling the chest up towards the ceiling. 4. 5. Good. Inhale. Slowly come up. Open up to the side. Exhale, Samasthiti. Prasarita Padottanasana. Inhale, step the right foot back. Feet parallel to each other. Hands to the hips. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, fold forward. We're going to come to a halfway point. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Strong legs, lift through the arches, lift through the kneecaps, and lengthen through the spine. Rib cage away from the hips. Find that hollowing through the front of the pelvis. And then exhale, keep the lower belly pulled in as you fold forward. Sit bones start to reach up towards the ceiling, and the back muscles relax. Crown of the head moving towards the mat. Maybe the elbows are bent. If they're bent, you can start to walk the hands back. Keep the fingertips pointing forward. And you're going to gently push into the hands to pull the torso through the legs. Keep the weight into the tops of the feet if that's possible. And again, check in with your foundation. The legs need to be strong so that the back can release and relax. And you can keep the emptiness into the pelvis. So notice when the legs aren't engaged, then the body finds other places to stabilize. So maybe you lose the emptiness in the pelvis, maybe the back muscles start to engage and tense up, but then when you engage through the legs, then other parts of the body can feel like they can relax. On your next inhale, straighten the arms, lift the chest. Hold it on the exhale, keep pressing down through the feet. Inhale, tailbone is heavy as you come up, connect into the legs. Exhaling at the top. All right, inhale, we're gonna do all 4. Reach out through the arms, fingertips. Exhale, hands to the hips. Inhale, deep breath in. Exhale, fold forward. Keep the hands on the hips. And now you can have the 4 fingers in the front of the hips and the thumbs wrap around towards the back of the hips. And then use those 4 fingers to just remind you to keep pulling the lower belly in. Keep the elbows pointing up to keep a nice opening through the collarbones. Stay with the breath. Stay with the foundation through the legs. 1 more breath here. On your next inhale, pressing down to come all the way up, exhaling at the top. See, inhale, reach out through the fingertips. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind the back. If you can't, inhale, straighten the arms, but if you can't straighten the arms, then grab a strap or a towel to help connect the hands. Exhale, fold forward. Same principles we've been talking about. And now you're also releasing through the shoulders to help move into this rotation. 3. Steady, smooth breathing. 4. 5. Inhale, come all the way up, heavy tailbone, press through the feet, exhaling at the top. Okay, last one. Inhale, hands to the hips. Exhale, fold forward, catch the big toes. Inhale, lift the chest, press through the feet, and find space through the spine, emptiness through the pelvis. Exhale, folds forward, sit bones point up. 1, shoulders away from the ears. 2, if the legs are hurting or burning or tired, just notice that without trying to move away from it or run away from it or avoid it. Just feel into it. My legs, they're tired. One more breath. On your next inhale, lift the chest. Exhaling there. Inhale, come all the way up to the top. Exhale into Samastitihi. Good. Parsvottanasana. Then bring the hands into reverse prayer. So palms together behind the back, or you can bring the fists together behind the back, or grab onto opposite elbows. Inhale, step the right foot back, face the back of the mat. Right toes are pointing forward, and the left toes are at a 45 degrees. If possible, the heels are in one line. If you need some more space to help you rotate the hips to point the back of the mat, if that's a little bit difficult, then you can move the left foot out to the side so that the two heels are in two lines, parallel lines. Okay, inhale, take a deep breath in, press into both feet. Exhale, you're gonna reach the center of the chest towards the right leg, squaring the shoulders over the right leg. And again, relaxing the back, the lower back, the upper back, all the muscles along the back. Relax the neck. And you're moving into that right hip crease. So keep pressing into the right foot, moving that right hip back, and then pressing into the left foot, rolling the left hip forward and down. Keep lifting through the elbows. Take one more breath. Inhale, come up, pivot around to the other side, square the hips, square the shoulders, so both hips, both shoulders pointing towards the back. Again, if that's difficult, move the right foot out to the side a little bit. Exhale, press into both feet as you fold forward into the left hip crease. Keep the lower belly pulled in and square the shoulders over the left leg. 1, spreading across the collarbones. 2, keeping the lower belly pulled in. 3, 4, 5. Inhale, pressing down to come up. Exhale into Samastitihi. All right, let's do Utkatasana Panagusasana since there's lots of forward folding there. Inhale, we're going to start with the modification, left hand to your hip. And you're going to pick up the the right knee, and just hold on to the knee. I know this is important. So just like Utkatasana, we're closing the front of the hip, which is a super important element of forward folding. We're making the pelvis that pivot point. So right now the spine is straight and you're just bringing the knee towards the chest, but you're compressing the front of the hip. So this space in the front of the hip, that's our pivot point in forward folding. Good. Now you can stay here, or you can keep going, catch the big toe, keep the spine straight, keep the lower belly pulled in, and straighten the leg as much as you can. Good. Now we're going to further express that forward fold or deepen the forward fold. If you feel stable here and the leg is straight, by folding over the leg, you're going to pull that right leg into the hip socket and then fold over the leg, pull the lower belly in. Keep the shoulders spread, so you don't want that left shoulder to collapse. Keep spreading across the collarbones. Keep pressing down through that standing foot. One more breath. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, now we're going to bring it out to the side and we're going to come into external rotation. So that right leg is going to externally rotate into the hip socket. You can bend the knee here if you need to. Good. Pull the lower belly in. Keep growing tall through the spine. So keep reaching up through the crown of the head, pressing down through the foot, lifting through the kneecap. Find your breath. Take one more. Inhale, bring it back to the center. And now everybody straighten the leg and hold it out. 1, both hands to your hips. 2, steady breathing. 3, pull the lower belly in, pull the leg into the hip socket so the shoulders are over the hips. 4, 5, exhale, release. Good, shake it out. All right, so lots of attention into the pelvis, like what's happening around the pelvis. Inhale, lift the left leg, catch the knee. So we're closing the front of the hip. The pelvis is our focal point. Now we're going to reach down, catch the big toe if you want to go forward further. Connect into that standing foot. Pressing down, lift through the arch, lift through the kneecap, lift through the crown of the head, maybe straightening. Again, you can just be here halfway with the knee bent. This is the forward fold. If not, you can straighten and fold all the way. Make sure to pull the leg into the hip socket. And you can do that with the left arm. You pull the left arm back into the shoulder joints, the left leg back into the hip socket, and that starts to release the back muscles, which we want for folding over the leg. Good. Take 2 more breaths here. 4. Make sure not to collapse that right shoulder. 5. Inhale, lift the chest, steady. Exhale, bring it out to the side. 1. You can gaze over the right shoulder. 2. Keep pressing down to the standing foot. Lengthening through the spine, reaching up through the crown of the head. 4. Relax the muscles in the face. 5. Inhale, bring it back to the center. Exhale, fold. I think we forgot that on the other side. Inhale, both hands to your hips. 1. Find that standing leg. 2. Mind is calm. 3. Growing through the spine, relax the shoulders. 4. 5. Exhale, release. Good. Shake it out. All right. Come to the top of the mat. Inhale. Arms over your head. Palms touch. Exhale. Fold forward. Relax the back. Pull the lower belly in. Inhale. Half lift. Exhale. Step or jump back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale. Upward facing dog. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Now we're going to jump both feet forward as close as you can in between the hands. Bend the knees and come straight into utkatasana. 1. Again, bending into the front of the hips. 2. Start to relax the back muscles a little bit so that the tailbone can be heavy, moving down towards the mat, but then in the opposite direction, lifting through the center of the chest. 4. Feel the quads. Maybe you're gazing up towards the thumbs. Sink a little bit deeper. 5. Keep the knees bent. Bring the hands down to the mat in front of the feet a little bit. Now you're going to keep the knees in towards the chest, knees together, and you're going to shift forward into the hands. Come onto the tippy toes. So we're like in a supported lolasana. Shifting forward into the hands, feel the shoulders, strong shoulders. Keep the thighs towards the chest. And now pick up one foot towards the glute. Good, I know this is hard. Other foot towards the glute. Hold it. Bring it down. And now see if you can shift forward into the hands and pick up both feet with control and then shoot back into plank. Or maybe just step back into a plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, jump through to seated or just make your way to seated. We'll break down jumping through some other day and find find Dandasana. So it's like a half forward fold. So we're still incorporating some of the key principles of forward folding. The feet are flexed, the feet are together, and you're going to press down through the heels. Now if you're in this position and it's hard for you to find a straight spine, then elevate the hips like we were at the beginning of class. Elevate the hips onto a bolster or onto a blanket to give the pelvis a little bit more space to find that neutral position. Sometimes if it's hard to find that neutral position, then maybe that's tightness in the hamstrings or just tightness around the pelvis. So give the pelvis a little bit more space by elevating it. You're going to bring the hands next to the hips. Press down through the heels. Lift through the kneecaps. Stabilize through the legs. And then bring that stability up through the legs into the pelvis as the sit bones sink down into the mat. And then as you allow the sit bones to sink down, feel the lower back starting to soften. The hollowing out through the lower belly and through the front of the pelvis. Good. The lengthening through the spine, the lifting through the center of the chest, spreading across the collarbones. And the shoulders, they're not rolling forward, they're not rolling back. So no pinching the shoulder blades, they're somewhere in the middle, moving down the back as the spine lengthens. And keep lengthening through the back of the neck, just enough to tuck the chin. Gazing at the tip of the nose. Settle into the breath, watching the breath, observing the pathway of the breath through the body. Good, release that, Paschimottanasana. Inhale, folds forward, catch the big toes. Okay. If you can't catch the big toes, you have two options. You can either catch somewhere along the legs or you can bend the knees. But wherever you are, first let's find that straight spine. So don't fold forward just yet. Just find that halfway point with the spine is straight. You're engaging through the back muscles. The legs are strong and engaged. The lower belly is pulled in, so find that hollowing through the pelvis. Take a deep breath in. Find even more space, rib cage away from the hips. And then exhale, keep moving the rib cage away from the hips as you fold forward. And then once you reach that limit for hamstring flexibility, relax the back muscles. Check in with the lower back muscles especially, relaxing them as much as possible. And pulling in through the lower belly. And see if you can find the initiation of finding more space through the front body. Feel that coming from the pelvis. So as you're in this forward fold, you want to keep finding space through the front body. So keep moving the rib cage away from the hips on the inhales. Keep reaching the crown of the head, the center of the chest on the inhales. And see if you can find that action coming from the pelvis, from the strength of the pelvis. And from that foundation of the legs, you're really rooting down through the heels, engaging through the legs, and hollowing out through the lower belly. And that's going to help you find that space. Instead of finding that space by pulling on the toes and using the strength of the arms are kind of just passive here, holding the big toes, holding the posture in place. But that action of lengthening is coming from the foundation you're creating through the legs and through the pelvis. And through pulling in the lower belly. Okay, inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale there, and let's take it a little bit deeper. So if the legs are straight, maybe catching the outsides of the feet. If the legs are bent, see if you can straighten the legs a little bit. Inhale, deep breath in. Find the space. Exhale, fold. If you're catching the outsides of the feet, think about pulling the outsides of the feet towards you. And the insides of the feet, you're pressing forward with the thumbs. So that's going to encourage a gentle internal rotation through the legs. The legs are gently spiraling in towards each other, so they're not flopping away from each other. And then find the breath. On the inhales, find space. And on the exhales, fold, move into that space. Relax the neck. You can either gaze at the nose or you can gaze at the big toes. If it's too straining for the neck to gaze at the big toes, then just relax the neck and gaze at the nose. Take one more breath. Check in with the foundation, strong legs, pulling in the lower belly. And allow that foundation to release the back muscles. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, release. Good. All right, let's take a Purvottanasana just to counteract all the forward folding we've done. Inhale, slide the hands behind the hips, and then roll the shoulders forward so the shoulder blades are moving away from each other. Tuck the tailbone. If you need to modify it, bend the knees and plant the feet. So for reverse tabletop. Inhale, press into the hands and lift the hips up. 1, keep lifting through the pelvis. 2, feet are touching, internally spiraling through the legs. 4, lift a little higher, press through the shoulders. 5, exhale, slowly come down. Let's take a vinyasa, across the shins, roll over the feet or lift up. Inhale, step back into a plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, jump through to seated. Let's do Janu Shirshasana. Bring the right knee towards your chest and let the knee fall away from you, away down towards the ground. So the bottom of the foot is up against the inside of the left thigh. Inhale, square the shoulders over the left leg. Catch the left foot or somewhere along the leg. Exhale, fold forward, and you're gonna square the shoulders over the left leg. So there's like a gentle twisting happening through the spine. Really subtle to get the center of the chest in line with the left leg. 1. And now this is interesting because you're forward folding, but you're also releasing through that right hip. So as you reach the center of the chest towards the left toes, you're releasing the right hip back and down. So there's a movement, there's actions happening in opposite directions. It's the action and the counteraction. Keep the lower belly pulled in. Take one more breath. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale there. And release that. Switch sides, straighten the right leg. Bend the left knee, close the left knee joint. If you need to prop the knee up on something because you have something going on with the knee, go ahead and do that. Inhale. Square the shoulders over the right leg. Keep that right leg strong. And then exhale, fold forward. Feel that extra length happening to the left side of the torso as you come over to the right leg. Remember, you can catch the foot or you can catch somewhere along the leg. 1. If you're catching the foot, keep reaching forward through the base of the big toe to help you really reach the rib cage in the chest towards the right toes as you release the right hip back and down. Right leg is strong, lifting through the kneecap, pulling in the lower belly. Find that hollowing through the front of the pelvis. 4, steady breathing. 5, inhale, look up and lengthen. Hold it on the exhale. And release the foot. Let's take a vinyasa, cross the shins. Inhale, make your way into a plank. Exhale, pull the lower belly in, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, come to seated. Sink the knees if you don't know how to jump through. And let's do kurmasana. So you're going to separate the feet a little bit, not too much. So somewhere in between the forward fold and like konasana, Upavishya Konasana, where your legs are in straddle. So somewhere like at 45 degrees, you're going to flex the feet. And first, keep the knees bent. I'll take you along a pathway. Stop wherever you need to along this pathway. And you're going to bring the hands in between the feet. So now if this is okay, you can come down to the elbows. Good. And now from here, keep the knees bent, keep the feet flexed, and you're going to squeeze the knees in towards the shoulders. So at one point I mentioned that forward folding involves a subtle spiraling inwards of the legs. This is true for kurmasana. So you want to squeeze the knees in so you keep the legs internally rotating. So you don't want the knees to flap out to the side. Keep squeezing the knees in towards the shoulders. And now here, you want to sort of have a counteraction to that and spread across the collarbones. So you're going to press the shoulders down away from the ears, shoulder blades down the back, and spread open across the collarbones. Good. So the back muscles are sort of engaged right now. And just hold it. Keep squeezing the knees in and pressing the shoulders away from the ears. If it's too much to be on the elbows, you can come back to the hands and just come wherever you can. Okay. Now, if the elbows are comfortable, you're going to rock over to one side, to the left side, and slide the right hand underneath the knee a little bit above the knee, like somewhere around underneath the thigh. And then you're going to lean over to the other side as you keep sliding that right hand back at a diagonal behind you. And you're going to slide the left hand behind you. Good. So now the feet and the arms are reaching in opposite directions. The hands are moving back as you keep spreading across the collarbones, and you keep squeezing the knees in towards the shoulders, and then maybe you start to straighten the legs. So keep reaching through the heels as you straighten the legs, and maybe you get the chest on the floor. Maybe you get the chin on the floor. And then once you're here, all you're doing is reintegrating all of the principles we've already talked about. So you keep rolling the legs in towards the shoulders, keeping the feet flexed, and keep reaching back through the hands to keep opening across the collarbones. So try not to collapse don't collapse through the collarbones. Keep opening through the chest. You want the legs to be on top of the elbows as much as possible, so that you're not pressing into the elbows, and you want the elbows to pass the legs. So there's not any weird pressure coming into the elbows. And then maybe the legs are so strong and straight that the heels lift off of the floor. But you keep squeezing the knees in towards the shoulders, keep squeezing the feet towards each other. We'll hold it here for 3 more breaths. 1. Steady breathing. 2. Keep squeezing in. 3. Okay, and then let's come out of that. Good. All right, let's do a diamond. So bring the feet together. And so you're like in a wide Baddha Konasana, and then just folds forward, bringing the forehead towards the feet. If you want, you can come into a kurmasana shape where you keep the hands underneath the thighs, and then you bring the hands towards each other behind you. Either way, they can either be here, or you can just have the hands holding onto the feet. And we'll hold this for 5 breaths. 1. Now the hips can relax, the knees can fall away from each other towards the floor. 2. 3. If it's too much to forward fold, just fold forward as much as you can. 4. Relaxing the back muscles, relaxing the neck. 5. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, release. Let's take a vinyasa, cross the shins, make your way into a plank. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, jump through to seated. All right, just do a quick time check. Okay. And let's do some back bending. Since we folded forward so much, let's release the front of the hips. Bring the feet hip width distance apart, feet parallel to each other. First we'll start with some bridge pose. Inhale, press into the feet and lift the hips up. Maybe shrugging the shoulders underneath to catch the ankles, or interlace the fingers underneath the hips. 1. Keep pressing into the feet. Keep the knees moving in towards each other. 2. Use the quad muscles to lift the hips. 3. Reaching the knees forward and the chest towards the chin. 4. Feel that opening through the front of the hips. 5. Exhale, come down. So that 2 more times. Feel free to move into Urdhva Dhanurasana if you'd like to. Inhale, press into the feet, lift the hips. 1. Another option is to bring the hands underneath the pelvis to sort of prop the hips up. 2. Wherever you are, see if you can relax the glute muscles. 3. It's hard. So isolate those glute muscles, those big glute muscles, and relax them. 4. Steady breathing. Press into the feet. 5. Exhale, slowly come down, rolling through the spine. One more. I'll talk you through Urdhva Dhanurasana if you'd like. Hands next to the ears, fingertips pointing towards the shoulders. Inhale, press into the hands, top of the head. Squeeze the elbows in. Inhale, press into the hands and the feet as you come all the way up. 1, wrapping the shoulder blades around towards the front of the body to bring the elbows towards each other. 2, press into the feet, lift through the pelvis. 4, feel that release through the front side of the body, the length through the front side of the body. One more breath wherever you are. And then exhale as you come all the way down. Tuck the chin. And then bring the knees into the chest. So this is kind of like your most basic forward fold, just hugging the knees in. It's the same thing as child's pose, just kind of on the opposite end. So knowing what we know about forward folding, this simple posture contains the basic elements of forward folding. That closing of the front of the hips, the pelvis as the pivot point, something to connect you into the emptiness, the hollowing of the pelvis. Come into the breath, releasing a little bit more on every exhale. Good. And let's just finish with some twisting, recline twisting, so let the knees fall over to the side. If you want to go through all of the closing postures, feel free. But since we're running out of time, this is an hour class and I don't want to take anybody's time, too much of your time. So we'll finish with some twisting. Twisting is nice to kind of like settle the nervous system. We did a lot of forward folding, which is really grounding for the nervous system. So you shouldn't feel too agitated. Maybe a little bit from the back bends, but all that forward folding is super grounding. That's why the primary series has so much forward folding. It's very grounding and therapeutic. So when you come into the Ashtanga yoga method, first we ground you, we heal the body. Okay, switch sides, let the knees fall over to the other side. If you feel like when the knees come down to the floor, that right shoulder lifts, you can prop something underneath the bolster. So you try to keep that right shoulder on the floor to allow this to happen. You want this to be relaxing. So you want to feel a sense of release. You can make your way to Shavasana, final resting pose. And just do whatever you got to do to get super comfortable so that you can completely relax here. Finding a full body relaxation. Feeling the support from the ground beneath you. Completely relaxing. If you're ready to come out of it, start to deepen the breath. Feel free to stay longer if you'd like to. And slowly start to wake up the body, moving the fingers, the toes, small movements with the body. Good. Bringing the knees into the chest. And slowly come up to a seated position whenever you're ready. Take your time. And just finding a comfortable seated position. The hands resting, the eyes closed if you'd like. Settling here for one last moment, just taking one last moment with yourself. Of feeling into the body, of observing the body, observing the mind, observing the breath before you go off with the rest of your day. Feeling into this moment. Bring the palms to heart center. We'll finish with the closing mantra. You can join me or you can just listen. Take a deep breath in. Swasti prajabhyaha paripalayantan nyayena margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhyaha Shubhamastu Nityam Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you all next Tuesday.